welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my dear friend Brianna Mosier.
Hello.
The intention of this show is to bring together men and women to create healthy, polarized relationship dynamics by learning how to honor each other's natural masculine and feminine energetic core. I am so excited personally about this episode today because this is a conversation that has been happening and we are contributing our little slice of the internet here. So before we dive into the content today, I want to introduce you to my friend Bree and myself, and then we will get started.
Well, let's do it. My work in the world, I'm Bree, my work in the world is helping really driven, healthy, empowered, successful women access their feminine energy, who are very comfortable in the get it done, hustle, be productive mode. And they want to learn how to be in their body, how to be in their feminine, how to relax, let go, trust, and receive healthy masculine partners. Because it really is so energetic. When you start healing your relationship with yourself, it is amazing how you can shift the type of people who come into your life when you're in that space. So that's my work in the world, as well as pleasure and intimacy work. That's part of my background. So I love helping women explore and expand their erotic edges as they do this divine feminine energy work and create healthy relationships, heal their trauma, all that juicy stuff.
So good.
And what do you do, Courtney?
Yes, I am a trauma-informed dietitian and feminine energy coach. I really bring the feminine energy into health so that you can understand how your body works, understand why it has felt like a battle for most women, and really learn how to honor and express more health and vibrance in the body that you have for the rest of your life. Learning how to love that is going to be such a gift. So that is what I do in the world. And I love that we are going to be talking about this topic today.
So good.
You want to introduce it? You want me to?
I would love for you to introduce it.
Okay.
Ground us in.
Yes. So we wanted to talk about today what it means for the dating space in a feminist era. When we were thinking about what would be the most helpful contribution to this conversation from our show, this is what came up. We are in a different dating space. I'd say in the last 5 or 10 years, it feels dramatically different than it did 5 or 10 years ago. And most people are finding themselves in some really polarizing camps, not in the way that we talk about polarity, but polarizing viewpoints. And it feels a little bit like
Pushing against each
battle.
other.
Yes. And what we are all about is finding that way forward that honors authenticity, that honors your true energetic experience, masculine and feminine, by integrating what we know about both of those. And so we want to talk about what it looks like to be dating in a feminist landscape.
Well said.
I hope this is really empowering for men. That is our intention, is to bring a really empowering lens to the conversation about feminism and about dating and kind of how that is impacting the dating space. And so, yeah, we got some things for you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think, the point you were making earlier before we started the show is that there are lots of voices, and of course that's amazing, right? We want everyone's perspective, but the majority of the perspective around this topic is sort of like hating one or the other. There's a very strong, feminist camp, which is men are the worst and all these things that, women feel like they have a free pass to say. And then there's also the opposite, where men feel very villainized, and there's no healthy, integrated way forward that celebrates and empowers everyone. And what we want to do is kind of lay out the facts for how, from our perspective of two people who care a lot about helping the planet create healthier relationships, kind of lay out the facts of how feminism may have changed the dating landscape and how you as a man can co-create really healthy, thriving relationships with women that you love, appreciate, and admire, and also understand where they're coming from. right? Really, we want to build that foundational knowledge. And then we may give you a part 2 on how you can super succeed actionably. This is the foundation of shifting how you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So good. I love that. Yeah. So there's some things that we want to lay out first. Again, just pulse check. We know that the dating landscape has changed. We feel it.
Mm-hmm.
We feel it as women who have been in the dating space for the last few years. We can feel it. We help women in the dating space currently. So there is a different vibe, and there are a few things that I think are really important to acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
The first is that there seems to be this experience that I'm hearing from feedback from men that they feel like they aren't needed anymore. Like, if you've got it covered, then like, what do you need me for? Which causes them to behave in the like, should I open the door? Should I text her first? Am I going to be stepping on toes? And it's coming from this place of like not quite being clear around where you fit, which feels like that makes anyone feel insecure when their role has kind of been erased. Like, what do you need me for?
The role that they've known themselves to be in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, I was operating over here and now this is not needed anymore. Like, what does that leave? And what we want to do is to answer the question of like, what is next? With this changing landscape, like, what is next, and are there next steps that you can be taking to embody more of your masculine energy and really show up and feel really solid and secure in who you are as the man and as the masculine partner?
Yeah, well said. I think women are needing something different than the norm that was prior, right? And that's really what shifted with feminism, in my opinion, is how the connection between men and women historically used to be I need to be chosen by men to be safe, to make money, to buy a house, all these things. And now that is not the case, and women can be fully financially independent, right? And live big, beautiful lives on their own. What has happened is what women need from men is very different. But make no mistake, and we want to really drive this point home tonight on this episode, on tonight's episode, the point we want to drive home is we still very much need you. It's just in a different way than you're maybe socialized from baby boomer parents. It's different now, and I'll tell you, as someone who coaches and works with amazing women, successful, incredible, empathetic, feminine, warm, your dream women are my clients, okay? And they're doing the work to be healthy in relationship. And I hear the same thing that we're about to tell you today. They tell me they want all these things. And when that person, they always say to me, where is he? A man like that, where would he be? Because that would just be a dream for me. So we want to teach you the ways that you can thrive in the dating pool and still be celebrated in your masculine energy, because your healthy masculine energy is not the enemy. It's actually more needed than ever. It's the wounded masculine that kind of gets a little wonky, But the definition of masculinity is often in the box we call wounded masculine. So we want to talk a little bit about healthy masculine and how you gain so much by being in that space, and what might be required for you to leave behind about your ideas of masculinity and dating and relationships in order to really thrive and create the healthy relationship that I know you want as men deep down, because it is a required shift. Yeah.
Yep. We broke this down into kind of like what you have to gain by dating in the feminist landscape, and what it will require for you to possibly let go of or leave behind. And I think you'll find that both of these are going to be wins for you. So let's dive in. What they have to gain. What does a man need to understand that will shift his perspective in the dating space, in the feminist dating space?
So good. Do I get to do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Teeing you up here.
Thank you for the tee up.
Yes.
Okay, So you may think, because it is confusing, we've heard from a lot of men that it's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
You may think that because women are rising into these positions of power and fully financially independent and they have a lot more rights and ability to create a life they love, right? You may think that they don't want you to be opening the door, planning the dates, pursuing her. You're wondering, how does this work? How do I date a really successful, empowered woman? And how do I be the man in her life that she's really wanting? How do I make her happy? It seems like she's making herself very happy, right? Like I was saying before, the women I work with are so successful in their careers, it would blow your mind. And what they want more than anything is more healthy masculine energy. What they don't want is to feel controlled, belittled. They don't want to feel like they're mothering their partners, like having to pull him along or teach him a lot of emotional intelligence skills, if you will. What they want is a partner who embodies healthy masculine. The more empowered masculine energy a woman has, which you could argue is from our lens of what empowered masculine means. And if you don't know, go back to our early episodes. We define it outright in all of them, which is probably different from what you've heard. So definitely refresh on that. But the more of that energy that a woman has, generally speaking, the more successful she's going to be in life. She's going to produce a lot more and achieve a lot more. And she's going to require a partner who has at least as much healthy masculine energy than her, if not more. So you're thinking, oh, she's a high-powered, successful woman. I'll let her pick the place. I'll let her pick up the bill if she wants to, because in your good-heartedness, I want to respect her. That's what I hear from so many men, is like they don't want to get it wrong, really good men, because they love women and they want to empower women. Except what she really wants is a partner where she can take that boss lady hat off sometimes and exhale and trust him, to be able to lean on him, to have him text first and pursue her and put her back in that more feminine space. And she has to feel safe with him to be able to do that. So there's a level of, really the biggest thing I hear from clients is that they're wanting more emotional intelligence from men, but equally as much, they want you to pursue them. Now, I'm only speaking for the group of clients that I work with, right? I've told you that population. So, think of it from that lens. She wants to be pursued. She wants to be courted, if you will, in a more empowered sense. And there are parts of her that still want to be taken care of. If she's taking care of business, career, children, whatever it might be, no one's taking care of her. It's exhausting. It is exhausting to be the one that's always making the decision and planning the things and organizing and getting it done. If you come in and be that healthy masculine pole that is empathizing with how she's feeling and still showing up really sturdy in your masculine energy, nothing is more soothing to, again, the women I work with, to their nervous system. What would you add to that?
Well, I just think it's really important to reframe this, because it's not that she wants less masculine energy. She wants more of you. And until a man understands that, it will feel threatening to your masculine energy, except that she wants more of you, not less of you. To the wounded masculine, to like the childlike part of you that feels like your role is going away, it is an opportunity for you to create the role that you were intended to play in this world. And a woman will bring that like highest level out of you. And this landscape is the perfect space for that evolution to happen, for the masculine maturity. And I'm saying this from male teachers, not my own perspective. Obviously, I'm a woman that I don't know what it's like to be a man, but from the men that I follow their work, they will say that to be with a really healthy, empowered, feminine partner calls forth more of them, and they've had to do more of their own soul searching and kind of defining, but it has actually caused them to flourish more than what they would have had they not been in that partnership. And so this is the invitation, men, is that there is an opportunity in the feminist dating landscape for you to grow into your fullest potential as well. To really expand your masculine energy from what you thought it meant to be masculine to what we actually want of you. And I think you'll find, surprisingly, that it is not a shrinking. It is a battle call, not a battle. It is a like, please come forward.
Yeah.
Not, I think it can be heard as like criticism when it's really like we are desperately wanting to see all that you have to offer. We've seen this part. Thank you. And all of this unexplored territory is what is available in the current landscape. And I think for the masculine, from what I understand of the masculine and how they operate, adventure and exploration and mastery are like some really dominant drivers for masculine energy beings. And for the men who are willing to lean into the courage that it requires to explore those things, to the victor goes the spoils. That's where I will say,
Well said.
you get to keep what you uncover about yourself in this dating space.
Yeah, it's for truly the evolution of the entire human being, right? It's not just, here's how we be more pleasing to women. What women are wanting is even an expansion of Eunice, of your healthy masculine energy, to make you even stronger in your healthy masculine energy, not take it away. What women are afraid of and kind of pushing against, but don't often have the same language for, is the wounded masculine. And I think that's why a lot of women fall into that camp of being scared of men and resentful, because you're thinking of the wounded masculine, you know, egotistical, playing it big, controlling, right? And that's what pushes them away from it. The lens within which it seems that a lot of men are taught about masculinity, or what makes a man impressive, successful, we have found is often tied up in protecting and providing. And what that looked like traditionally was more protect the family physically, right? And provide financially. And that's what created a successful man. Except now that those things are happening as we've evolved, now we have home security, we have a Ring camera, right? There are ways that we can protect ourselves and be financially successful. We want to redefine those qualities for you, protecting and providing. She still needs you to do those things. I would say, I'll just say for me and my man, like I still need him to protect and provide, but it's in a different lens. Protecting and providing physically, it's great. What we also need is protection emotionally, protection from your wounds, protection from our hearts, protecting our hearts, keeping our hearts safe and secure, and providing emotional reassurance, holding space, connection, intimacy. Women are also wanting that piece from you. So you're still being this protector, provider, but I will tell you, nothing creates more attraction to my man for me than when I can tell he's actively protecting my heart and trying to give me what I need emotionally. Far more than if he comes home with lots of money. Like, that's really great for us. That won't be the reason that I stay in a relationship. Right?
That's important.
Yes, because we're wanting to go bigger together and build. So if there's a way for you to reframe, what does protecting and providing look like now? Because it has evolved. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing that men in this space will have to let go of, if you will, and let go of, it feels a little like a free fall because you're defining what the next step is for yourself, but to actually redefine what masculine energy looks like for you. Like I was saying, this is the opportunity for your masculine energy and your definition of masculine energy for you to rise, to mature, to grow into the fullest version of him. And it will require that you are willing to explore the wilderness a little bit and chart that territory for yourself. We don't have a ton of models in the masculine space because this is new.
Yeah.
Over the last, 20, 30 years, even 50 years, like the feminist space has been growing, and the women are exploring and charting this territory. I would say our parents' generation was really the trailblazers. Yeah. So we have some concept of what that looks like. Men, I can appreciate that this is new terrain for you.
Yes.
And I think that's where there's a little mismatch, where it starts to feel kind of threatening, because women have been trying to, explore this terrain for a generation now, I would say. And it's men's opportunity to step in and explore what the terrain looks like for you and what we want to build together, because there is a way forward where these two paths can come together, and that's, I think, what we want to highlight.
To evolve into a new definition of healthy masculinity and what it looks like for you.
Yep.
The element to explore as well would be, in terms of what are you leaving behind to move forward into this space. I don't know any other way to say this than just to be candid about it. There's a big element of culture around men feeling like, well, I don't want to be a simp. All this talk about emotions and being there for her emotionally. I don't want to be feminized, right? And I don't want to be a simp to women or too emotional, because that, speaking candidly, threatens the traditional view of masculinity. What I would invite you to consider is that view of masculinity that says, be macho, be tough, don't cry, don't care about emotional intimacy, just protect, just provide, just be a man, okay? The people who say that, do they have healthy, thriving relationships, families, home lives, careers? Are they men that you want that same life? Do you respect and admire them? Do they stand up for women, for minority groups like we were talking about before, right? Are they protecting people at large? Are they doing their part to protect and provide at large for equality? Are you impressed by them? Do you want to emulate the life they've lived? Do they seem emotionally healthy? That's the other factor we have to consider, because the statistics on men's mental health are not looking good.
They're not great.
And it's not shocking to me because of how we've socialized men that they're not allowed to have emotions, and that they're weak if they cry, and they're weak if they need help. Like, it gives me goosebumps to think about, how could you not feel depressed, anxious, sad, disconnected from yourself and not have the words for it, because you're trying to be accepted into this masculine group, right? And follow this idealistic thing. But we know that that doesn't always drive the healthiest outcome. So as you're thinking about your definition of masculinity, I would encourage you to think of not impressing people that you don't respect their opinion of it. Typically, that's going to be the wounded masculine camp. The wounded masculine camp is very macho, play it big, control, power equals success. It's very low-level thinking, to be honest. It's like survival energy, right? Versus thriving energy. So when you graduate out of that, you're going to get a lot of really healthy men and healthy women. Healthy women are going to be wildly attracted to that safe, empowered, emotionally healthy, and protector, provider, healthy masculine energy. And other really healthy men who are doing their work, who have evolved, are also going to be really impressed by that. The only population that sometimes it feels like men are trying to impress or keep up with the Joneses around is the wounded masculine camp. And do you really even, do you really even care what that opinion might be? Right? Versus a really healthy, integrated, like a Jason Wilson,
Oh, Jason Wilson, man.
How can you not be impressed by him, even as a man, when you watch him with other young men? It's like, dang, that's the father that is providing and protecting and nurturing healthy masculinity. He's not creating kids that are simps or overly emotional. It's literally the opposite.
Yes.
But
Look
they're
him up.
so empowered.
Look him up as a reference point. If you've not followed Jason Wilson, go give him a follow. Full send on that.
Yeah, and there's just not a lot of examples of that healthy masculine energy in culture.
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
Which is why it's hard to pinpoint, well, what does it look like if I'm leaving behind Macho City and I'm moving to healthy integration?
Mm-hmm.
I totally can empathize and understand why that is terrifying. Identity shifting feels like abandonment from a whole idea that you've known your whole life. Like, it makes complete sense to me, as much as it can being a woman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed. One thing that you were saying is when you're looking at these men who have families and have, reached success, if you were to poll the audience that's around them, that would be a better marker of their true success than what they have acquired. They may have a family, they may have, a certain level of prestige and wealth in their career, but if you were to interview the people that they work with on a daily basis, if you were to interview the people who support them getting to that level of success, how empowered do they feel being on this person's team, family, whatever? That's going to give you a better measure of, is this something that I want to be creating? What are the sacrifices that this person is willing to make on behalf of the people around him? Like, what's required to be in this person's world? There is a way forward where everyone is rising together and we're all winning together. And I think what you were saying is the people like Jason Wilson, a great example, are empowering to be around because they are actually, that is their role. The deeper they get into their masculine energy, and he's talked about this, the deeper that he gets into his own emotional self, the more he has to give to his community, the more he is giving to the next generation of men in terms of a roadmap, guidance to get to this healthy place. Not like, I battled my way here and now I'm at the top of the mountain, look at me. It is this is what I have humbly gone through, and there is guidance available from people like that.
There are some other really healthy examples. I think they'd be a great time to share with them resources.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, here I am forgetting their name. Lauren Kren.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Lorin.
Uh-huh.
How do you spell his last name?
Kren.
Kren. Yeah. His teachings are really healthy and integrated and really celebrate that just sturdy masculine energy that it seems like men really want to embody, and we love that.
Yes.
Jeremy, what's his last name? B-E-A-S? Oh, Beyer. Yes. No, you're right. I'm thinking of his Instagram handle. Jeremy Beyer?
I honestly don't remember. No, I think we're combining. Anyways, the list is on my phone and we're using our phone to record. So we'll put something with an L. I think his last name starts with an L. His handle is Beyer
something. Wow, I feel terrible.
Me too.
What has the world come to that we think of Instagram handles as names?
Identities.
People have called me Building Brie before in person, and I'm like, this is just the weirdest thing on the planet. What? We'll link them all in the show notes.
Yes.
Also, Stephanos.
Yeah. Great example.
His last name escapes me. First name basis is all we have for you.
Also starts with an S.
Exactly. But there are really great. So Lauren Kren is one of them. Jeremy will find the last name. Stephanos will find the last name. Jason Wilson. Just full stop. Amazing.
Yep.
Are great examples of healthy masculinity that still celebrates the sturdiness that is masculine energy.
Yes. These are not men that you would look at them and say, wow, he's a simp.
Never.
Is he outrageously bragging about his woman? Yes. And do you respect him less for it? No. And you know that he is a king in that.
And a king to her.
And a king in that household is what I was going to say, because his queen is so celebrated.
And to go to your point, that's such a good point when you said, ask the people in the household how they feel around dad. That's going to be the marker. Sons, daughters, wife, whoever it is. Does that little boy feel safe to talk to his dad and ask for help? How does he feel criticized? Does he feel celebrated? Does he feel empowered? Does he feel like he's tiptoeing around dad? Which, common experience, if you have a wounded masculine father, you're going to be tiptoeing all the time. And then it creates wounded masculine adults or wounded feminine men who kind of like, are a little bit more shy, reserved, anxious. Yeah.
Yep. What's the emotional barometer.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? Pulse check, because that is going to be the sensory experience that your nervous system's picking up on that's going to create the boundaries, the limits without you consciously doing it. It is going to be a stop for you. Like, no, don't go over there. That's unsafe. Are there things that are not, that we just don't talk about? For the reason, because it's not safe. Like we say, we just don't talk about because we haven't found that middle ground. And I hear that from my clients a lot as well. There is a felt reality that's maybe different than what's observed. And until,
Pause.
Yeah.
That is the root to unpacking, in my experience, most people's trauma. Because we gaslight ourselves out of painful experiences.
Yes.
What's observed versus the felt experience. What's observed, the mansion, the family, the car, the felt experience. I can't tell you how many women I work with who had white picket fence experiences growing up and they never felt safe with their fathers. And are now hyper-masculinized women.
Yep.
Because they never had a protector to show them, I can be soft and I'm safe.
Yeah. Wow.
So think about the impact as a father that you can have by avoiding that path.
Or leaning in. Just lean in to rerouting.
Yes.
That brings me to the point of something that you will have to leave behind is this idea that you do understand what it feels like to be across from you. I think that's where a lot of sense of threat comes up in the masculine body when they're having to be confronted with the experience that's being told to them is different than their observed experience. Like, what do you mean you feel lonely? I work 60 hours a week to provide for this family. Like, why are you giving me feedback that you're not happy? I'm working so hard for you. How do you not feel loved? They're very like conflicting experiences, but you don't know what you haven't experienced. And I think that is a skill that is being asked to be developed, is more curiosity and exploration for the things that you have not experienced. Which will also bring you even more groundedly into your own experience. I was going to say, when you were talking about the felt experience of the household, the more that your household, the larger the gap between the felt experience and the observed reality, we train ourselves to do that too. At least for my clients, that is the pattern that they get into, is they can talk themselves out of how they felt so easily. And it's because this is the model, the paradigm that we have to work with, is I don't get to feel lonely and upset because you have been working 60 hours a week and I should just put that away, which is a whole other half of the relationship that's not being brought to the table. Like, that is the richness that's available, is the connection and the intimacy. Sorry.
No, that part. Right, what you just said.
Not sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm passing the ball.
Don't be sorry.
I'm not sorry.
Well, what you just said around that's what relationships are. It's because if you don't look at it from that lens, then it's a transaction. It's a transactional relationship. What do you mean? I provide you food, housing, clothing. You should be happy. Except that women have now made it very clear, and I think that's why we have such an extreme voice on the man hate, which Courtney and I have given up. We will leave the room. I'm so uninterested in the man hate conversation. I cannot. I've had enough of the villainizing of men. And I am a strong feminist, and I believe deeply in equality. I also believe that doesn't mean that we have to villainize and shame an entire group of people, because there are really healthy men who want to get it right. So, with that being said, what you said around that is it's either a business relationship that's transactional, or it's a thriving family relationship, in which case intimacy is involved. Emotional intimacy is involved. And I would venture that you may feel a lot better, safer, happier, more nourished, more supported to open up that side of yourself. Who are you when you're not a two-dimensional provider protector?
Yes.
I mean, don't you want to find that out? Instead of trying to impress such and such baby boomer and his idea of masculinity, right? Don't you want to self-actualize? Like, be the fullness of who you can be in your healthy masculine presence and set the precedent for the next generation, for young boys to feel safe with their fathers and young girls to feel safe and protected and safe with men. Like, you could end generational trauma. What could be more protecting and providing than that? It's a whole generation shifted.
That's it.
You know?
Wow.
Goosebumps.
Yes. And you know, I just want to say that this isn't to hate on baby boomers. This is the
I'm
next,
just being facetious, the
Yeah.
reference, yeah.
This is the next level. We are always meant to go beyond our parents, and I think what we're having to let go of in this dating pool currently is what our parents' reality was, which was still very much a survival-based relationship pattern, which is why the divorce rates for baby boomers is the highest.
Wow.
I don't know about our generation. I would say it's probably very high, but I don't think we even make it to marriage and therefore to divorce, because
That's it. We're marrying later.
we saw what happened with that, and we're a little more like, let me take a little bit of time here. I probably should have fact-checked that before I said that, but it's the highest to date in that era, because previous to that, it was a survival-based partnership. It was not meant to be about fulfillment and health, and I think our parents did a lot of work, and I want to just acknowledge that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shift happening in our parents' generation, and we are grateful for that. And the best way, in my opinion, to honor all of the work that they put in is to keep it going, is to move it forward, to move the conversation forward so that the next generation has even more space to work with. And that, what you were saying about ending generational trauma, if that's the only protection and provision you provide,
Amen. Thank you.
what?
Like, the biggest thank you. If you're doing that work to be in your healthy masculine energy,
Woo.
I mean, I thank you, my daughters thank you, my daughters' daughters thank you, my sons thank you, you know? Not a bigger gift could be had.
And I want to just add to that, this is the most attractive version of you. The one that is doing that level of, that is aware on that level that you matter so much to the generational tapestry, that you're doing the work and rerouting that, is the most attractive version of you, because it is the most mature, most fulfilled, most embodied masculine energy that you have ever been. And I guarantee, I will stake my claim on this one, that the you're like, what? Tell me.
Do it. Get on with it.
That you will be attracting so many, not necessarily volume, quality women. Like we were saying before, the videos where we see, even just scrolling on TikTok, men who are like unabashedly celebrating their wives or unabashedly standing their ground on things that feel very congruent with their service to the world, that are creating more safety in the world, caveat that one, are so attractive. Not in a like sexual attraction, but sexual attraction comes as a result of safety. We talk about it all the time. You want to be sexier, you have got to learn how to master creating safety for the environment that surrounds you.
Nothing more important, because a woman's sexuality is a full stop if she doesn't feel safe.
Yeah, we're
It
not
will
even
not
getting into that camp if this is not happening. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it.
That's your domain. I want
Full send.
Yeah. So this will be the most attractive version of you, and the quality of women that you are attracting is going to be through the roof.
So good. You know, we also understand what a loaded ask it can be, even though I know so many of you listening and our male listeners are probably committed to this work already, right?
Yeah.
The generally like very good, healthy, empowered masculine men. If you're listening to this show on creating thriving, healthy relationships and honor masculine and feminine, we know that you're committed. And I also want to acknowledge that sometimes that ostracizes you from the larger thinking about masculinity, right? What are those populations of men who are a little bit more in the wounded masculine definition? or even just kind of closed-mindedness around masculinity, right? Have a narrow view of it, how you might be viewed, that simp energy or not as masculine or all those things. And I think it's just important to acknowledge that can be a hard transition, but to trust yourself. If you're listening and it feels right to love on and support people and lead with integrity, which I think it would, then trust yourself on that. You know, Court and I have vehemently left the man-hate camp. I mean, when we first became friends, we were both kind of taking that shift, right? And when we started the podcast, I'll just speak for myself. I had intense fears about being called out by the feminist population for having a show called For the Love of Men. Thinking that people would think I was anti-feminist because we're doing a show that celebrates men and that loves men. And that makes me sad to even think about. Like, the fact that I don't want to hate men and shame them and spend mental energy saying all the ways that they're not sufficient excommunicates me from a group of people that I actually would identify with as being a feminist, right? And that is painful all the time. You may not see if you don't follow us on TikTok, but go check it out if you want to. Courtney and I, for lack of a better term, eat shit every day from feminists who are more in the camp of just hating men, I guess, right? And make comments like, you guys have internalized misogyny and you haven't done your work yet. You're not acknowledging how hurtful the patriarchy was. And Courtney and I are sitting here like, actually, there's nothing we've really done more of. Like, we care deeply about equality for women and understanding the patriarchy. It's one of my personal biggest values, especially if you knew me in person. You give me a layup for a feminist rant,
This is your girl.
It.
This is your girl.
I'm so on it. But not from a lens of anti-men. It's about equality for me, right? Like, how can we have these really safe, healthy, equitable relationships where everybody feels celebrated and seen? And it's not about power anymore. It's about intimacy and connection and thriving together. And so, you know, I hope it shifts, but I just want to acknowledge that it is a really big ask, and I'm really grateful if you're doing the work. And also if you're doing the work to speak up when people do say misogynistic things, or even if your friends are saying things like, man, I would feel a lot better about myself. Like, my self-esteem really relies on financially providing. And like, I just don't like to talk about my feelings. If you can be the man that gently nudges them, I'm really curious why that is.
Whoa, chills. That just gave me chills.
If you can be the one to challenge them, it's interesting you think of women that way. Tell me more about that. Can I tell you how I see women, or, you know, my reframe on this? Oh my gosh, there's nothing we need more. Because with you doing that work, it also takes the load off of women to feel like they're fighting men. And if we want to end the fighting men culture, what we need is good, healthy men to start spreading this awareness around healthy masculinity. Because otherwise, it is going to feel like women attacking men because women are really tired of, you know, the oppression they've been experiencing. Yeah. So thank you for doing the work. Truly.
Good point. Wow, I was like mesmerized. A thought came and I was like, tuck that away for
I'm a
later.
little sweaty after that.
It's all the layups. Whew. Man, I do want to add though that this is the gift of feminine energy, is to heal your wounds. The unconscious wounds that you probably don't know. It's not like you're purposely like, women are the worst. I find that is like such a small margin of men who are overtly misogynistic. That is very much wounded masculine,
True.
like easy to identify.
Yes.
The really slippery slope is the unchecked insecurities. And I'm sorry to just go straight there, but
She went for the jugular out of love.
My hope is out of love, yes. The unchecked insecurities that precipitate the reality of financial provision being what makes you more manly, or you're comparing yourself based on this hierarchy, which is innately more wounded masculine
Yes.
in structure. That is how it was built, is who can be the top of the top without checking the benefit of that structure, of fighting for that structure.
No, just that, what you said, you're fighting for the top of the top without checking the benefit of that structure. Like, what is the end game?
Yes.
What is the benefit? And is it actually in alignment with the kind of life and the kind of person you want to create and be? That was genius.
That was.
Courtney. The way you said that, I was like, oh, she's my friend. My friend is brilliant.
Sometimes, man, this is the best part of doing the show together, because sometimes the things that just come out, I'm like, that was pretty good. I wouldn't have thought of that on my own.
I need to just close my jaw.
But I think that's why for me this conversation is so important, because it is getting out of this like power dynamic, stepping back from that altogether. You're doing that with other men, and I am just guessing because I am not a man, but I have lived in a men's space, a man's world, truly. Where power dynamics are at play. And once I learned about dynamics, that was what really made me very clearly start seeing things on a more energetic level. Like, what's the feeling around this? Is the unprocessed struggles for power. When you start looking at your life in that realm and weighing it against your actual values, I would venture to say that you as a masculine man, as you're integrating more masculine energy, are going to have to step away from certain belief patterns that cause you to weigh yourself against other people. That's what's going.
Competition paradigm.
Yeah, that's what's going to free you to step away and do a little bit of that introspection and see where that unchecked insecurity lies. We are insecure when we are constantly doing this. I'm going to get back on top. Well, yeah, I make more money, or yeah, I'm stronger, or yeah. And I'm not even going to deny that that was maybe helpful historically. That's how we survived. And that's not the space that we're in anymore. That's not needed. It gets to be this, like moving forward for you and integrating that, how that served you, integrate it, move it forward. That's the flex.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly when you said it was the survival environment. But we're not in that anymore.
Yeah. And I do think there might be a little bit of that can create a sense on like nervous system, visceral threat in the feminist dating space. If that is how you are approaching dating, is in that lens of your value coming from where you rank in terms of competition, instead of that expression of your masculine energy being the goal. That integration of your masculine and feminine energy is what's going to help you win. I hate to even say that, but
Get where you want
get
to
where
be
you
in
want to
life.
go.
Yeah, self-actualize.
Yeah.
Anytime you're disowning one end of the energy or the other, we've said it a million times, you're going to be in the wounded camp, right? A woman without any masculine energy is going to be a puddle with no direction, flaky, anxious, needy, all the things. Yeah, I think.
Which we have a whole episode on that, and that brings me to the point. The whole point of this episode is not to, I guess we just really want to highlight the type of woman that we are wanting to help you move towards is not in the wounded space, either in her wounded masculine or her wounded feminine. She is in her empowered feminine energy. We have a whole episode breaking down each of those camps, and just to give some definition to that, because that's the type of woman we want for you. Just saying.
And I think that's what you want, right? The juicy, playful, sensual in her body, happy, communicates in a way that's not attacking or critical, but open-hearted woman who wants love, who wants intimacy, who also values space, right? Like just this very balanced, empowered feminine woman.
That you can really grow something meaningful with.
And together. And one of the gifts of the most empowered feminine, I'll just say this and then I promise we'll wrap it up. But the empowered feminine has a way of seeing you that maybe you don't see yourself. And I think it is, oh my God, I love the feminine so much. It's just inherently this quality of the feminine that she can feel the blockades in your heart. She can feel where you're holding yourself back in success in career, in relationship, and success with your children. She watches and just has this intuition because she has such great empathy. She's so in her body, you know? She feels it and she can call out, baby, I love you so much. When you talk to our son that way, I watch him shut down. He needs your heart. She'll be able to call it out, or she'll say, he really needs your boundaries. He needs your discipline. And I won't even lose myself in the weeds there. She'll be able to say in the relationship, you know, I can't feel your heart. Empowered feminine women feel that gap. You are not open. And why aren't you open? What is keeping you from opening and being all of who you are, right? You're not reaching your career potential because you're believing you don't deserve it. You're not good enough. You can't do it. You can. I mean, an empowered feminine woman is going to breathe fire into you and pour power over you. You will never find someone who is as invested in you becoming the most empowered, healthy, successful, incredible man than an empowered feminine woman who's committed to be your partner.
Say more.
That's all I got.
Oh my gosh, chills, chills. Yes, truth. In the Bible, there's a verse that says the wounds of a friend are more powerful than the wounds towards healing. Oh my gosh, I know this verse. Anyways, neither here nor there. The wounding that you get in a relationship is to peel away the things that keep you from being your fullest version. And an empowered feminine woman, which is available now that we have had the feminist movement. It is in spades. We're working with both of us are working with these women to heal into a more open-hearted space, but they are by and large working in that direction very actively. So that you are able to meet them eye to eye and reach your full potential too.
And they're diligently working. I have conversations every day with women who say, I do not want to have resentment toward men. I want a healthy partnership. I don't know how to let this go. I've been through this kind of trauma. And the work that I do, and I know you do this with your clients too, is help them alchemize that to love men. It is so beautiful to witness.
Yep.
There are women that have these hearts full of love and support to give you, but they're looking for a partner who is going to protect and provide in a very different way than has been traditional. So you actualizing into that space, I mean, I believe in teach and witness the power of energetics in my work all the time. It can be shocking, the avenues and the types of women you start to call in when you leave the camp of pushing against women and start to try to understand their experience. Like, why are women feeling this way, right? A phrase I love, I wish I knew where it came from, is even though it wasn't your experience, doesn't mean that it's not their experience. So when a woman is telling you, I feel unsafe XYZ, or here's why I would pick the bear over the man to be in the forest with, right? Just because it might not be your experience, because you would feel comfortable in either situation, doesn't mean that that's her experience. And the more you can lean in with curiosity, just try to understand. I know it is so hard because you feel attacked, right? But the best thing you can do is just listen and get curious and ask questions and seek to understand that perspective that she's sharing. That's going to open a lot of women's hearts just by you being willing to explore that with her. Yeah.
What does that mean about her vulnerabilities? Like, it is I think the bear in the woods conversation is fascinating, because what does it reveal to you that you have not seen about women and her vulnerabilities when you can take the threat out of it's, like, you're not choosing me or you feel unsafe around me? Like, what is it expressing about the feminine in general, and how can you support that vulnerability instead of, and it will be like kind of exiting the matrix feeling, I would imagine, if that were to be true. Wow. Like, she is so tender, and I think men do see women as needing safety physically. But go into the comment section on any of those videos, and you will be gutted by what you hear, that maybe you have not been, you haven't lived in that lens. You have not seen the world in that way. And how can you support and protect that vulnerability that's being revealed?
Oh, it reminds me of when we made that TikTok video asking men what they would need to feel safe emotionally to open up, and it went viral. And we had 10,000 comments of men sharing the ways within which they have opened their heart to women and felt like it was used against them. My heart was so sad, and I had to check myself on my own experiences and the ways in which I failed men when they opened their heart to me, and I made it unsafe. It was hard.
It was uncomfortable.
It was so uncomfortable.
Times 10,000.
Because I wanted to be defensive, right? Like, that's the instinct. But when there's the sheer volume of comments, I had to humble myself and realize it may be possible that men and women need different things emotionally. And if I'm not getting curious about that and trying to understand that experience, how am I going to have an emotionally close, intimate relationship with my partner when that's the number one thing I want with them? I have to try to understand what emotionality looks like within the landscape of masculinity and relationship, and how he feels safe, which is truly just different than how women communicate with each other around emotions. I know we need to wrap up because I have a quick deadline for school pickup. But
hopefully this has been helpful.
Yes.
Our hope is that if you've made it this far in the episode, that this was some insight and some maybe tough love, some perspective shifting.
And an invitation.
Because we do want more of you.
We need
not
you.
less. We actually do. We need you.
Like, severely, we've never needed you more.
Yep. And you are the one that gets to really define what you contribute and how that looks. And I think that in the feminist dating space, it is the most ripe for opportunity for you to express more of your healthy masculine energy and really integrate and use this as an opportunity for healing, as an opportunity for expanding and moving conversations forward, and really being truthful and more in integrity yourself as to where you get to grow into more of who you are.
So good.
That's my hope.
If you love the episode, what would feel so supportive and helpful is if you shared it with somebody that you think would be slightly open to it. Somebody who would be slightly receptive, and then talk about it. That would be just amazing. And if you want to write into the show, please feel free. You can always write us for the Love of Men podcast at Gmail. You can write us on our TikTok. You could write either one of us personally on Instagram or TikTok. I'm Building Bree and Building Bree Coaching. You can find me under either one of those. Courtney is Courtney_Shant. Send us a message. Let us know how it landed. And we're grateful you listened. So thank you.
Yeah. If this is work you want to continue, we want to keep having the conversation.
Yes.
I know Bree has a ton of resources to help women open their hearts. We have some master classes that would be a brilliant step into this conversation in an actual skills-based level. Y'all know I love me some skills. If you're wanting to expand your skill set, the master classes, man, that is where it's at. Get both of them. Get all three of them. We have one for helping the woman, helping listen to your woman and provide what she's needing, helping your man open up, and navigating triggers in an empowered way. Honestly, the more you learn about your feminine energy, the easier it's going to be for you to date. The more you learn about your masculine energy, the easier it's going to be for you to date. And the more you learn about your triggers, the easier it's going to be for you to date.
Those master classes are a perfect next step if you heard this and you're like, all right, I'm in.
Yes.
Let's go. Generational Healing King.
Say what? Yes.
I'm in. Go watch those masterclasses. They'll be perfect.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have men's work as well. If you want a deep, intensive version of integrating more of your empowered masculine energy, My program Rooted is designed for you and for women if you are looking to really feel more secure in your dating space too. Got one for that as well.
Love it.
Lots of stuff to work with here. So thank you for listening. We love you. We'll see you next week.
See you later.